What are some things that sound like compliments but are actually insults? My biology teacher in high school used to love telling people I don't care what anyone else says, you're alright. My French sister-in-law said to me, at a family get-together, your skin is so smooth, you hardly have any wrinkles. That's the advantage of being overweight. My dad thinks babies are inherently ugly, so when people show him baby pics or whatever, he just says, now that's a baby. Had this recently from my manager, you seem to do a great job with insert disorganized client's name here / because you were so alike. Took me a couple of minutes to work that one out. A male friend of my sister once told her, you know, if you had half a brain you'd be dangerous. That was 30 years ago and she still can't figure out if it was an insult or a compliment. Before I retired, I was once asked by our HR department to write a non-lawsuit producing reference for a former employee of mine that I had a pretty low opinion of. I wrote that they always met my expectations. You so beautiful that you could be a part-time model. Anything involving the word brave. You are such an adventurous dresser. I wish I was brave like that. Indian saying, I hope you have 10 daughters, and that they all marry well. Indians' weddings traditionally have been lavish affairs paid for by the parents of the bride. Everyone always wants to outdo the others. As a show of social status, see Beyoncé at an industrialist's daughter's wedding this past weekend, selling land, gold, etc. to pay for it. Marrying off 10 daughters in well-off ceremonies would practically bankrupt anyone. My mother is a gold mine for these. It is so nice. You can focus on your newborn and not worry about what your house looks like. I love that you don't care what people think of you. Many others that have already been stated. Good thing you are pretty. As a director of high school theater, if a parent says it looks like everyone on stage had a good time, it means no one in the audience enjoyed this show. Something about being on top of the bell curve. Whenever someone shows you a picture of their newborn child, you go, oh, it's so small. I worked with a music producer who had to take a few gigs early on producing for young female singers who often were not very talented but had a lot of money to give him for his work. Instead of lying to them when they'd ask for his feedback on each take, he'd say things like, wow, that was something. You really did your thing. That was so you. Now, whenever I'm forced to politely react to people I don't like, mostly in the context of work, I always use one of the above if I'm unimpressed. Long. That's actually a good idea. Person who is surprised you're not an idiot. Even though it can be used as a compliment, more often than not I hear they're just a free spirit. Used as a subtle way of saying they make bad decisions. I love what you tried to do with your hair. My grandpa is famous for saying you look good today. He's a funny guy, lol. It's impossible to underestimate you. I got this from a previous Reddit thread, and I love how it sounds so much like a compliment. It takes people a while to realize it's not, if they realize at all. When I worked in retail, my favorite one for rude customers was, I hope the rest of your day is as pleasant as you are. I was once told, you're a little chubby, but you're a nice guy. And I'm still not sure exactly what was meant by that. I'm surprised I'm attracted to you. I don't normally like short guys. My wife is slightly overweight. Her 84-year-old grandmother, who has dementia, looked at her yesterday and said, that dress doesn't make you look as fat. My wife's grandmother never liked her because she is a little overweight. All her life she was told backhanded compliments like this by her grandmother. I had a woman at my last high school reunion tell me, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's you. You're so handsome now. That's a really great picture of you. It doesn't look like you at all. Anything generally that is to do with size or shape. Fat people don't like being called fat. Skinny people genuinely don't like attention drawn to it, etc. Edit. Jesus, I've opened a can of worms. Top 2, you clean up nicely. Code for you usually look like a slob. And the /r/expected Mulaney, I love that you can just wear anything does not mean you look good in everything. it means I'm judging you for not giving a damn about how you look. Edit, I acknowledge that these aren't always meant as insults, but they can certainly be insulting in certain contexts. It's cool that you're still following your dream. Anytime a compliment is followed by, for once, or, for a change. Egg, your hair looks nice for once. A lot of polite British sayings, to be honest. I've worked in a number of countries, and sometimes I have to remind myself that extreme understatement is burned into the bones of British culture to a much deeper depth than anywhere else in the world. That's very brave. And GT, what the fuck? I think that you're on the right track. And GT, you are a turbo moron, etc. Yours is perfect. I don't like them big anyway. In middle school, one of my good friends met my older brother for the first time and felt the need to say, "Oh my gosh, your brother is so hot. You two look nothing alike." Stung a bit. Last week one of my professors told me, "I think you actually think a lot more deeply than you let on sometimes." I laughed awkwardly and said thanks. An older gentleman I used to work with would tell people at work they were sufficient. Edit, I am sincerely pleased that many of you found my comment adequate. Thank you. At work, whenever anyone does anything nice for me, I'll always hit them with thanks. You know, it's not true what people say about you. You're all right. Then I leave without elaborating. Edit, thanks for the silver, mystery benefactor. Mucho, appreciato. This is very specific to me, but you don't look Mexican. I'm a very light-skinned Mexican. My usual response, what's a Mexican supposed to look like? I'm not offended because it's not meant as an insult most times. I just see it as amusing. You're nothing like all those other, insert racist/sexist profile. You really seem so confident in yourself, despite everything. It's reassuring for me. Bless your heart.